a Nobel Peace Prize nomination, a geographical meltdown, and a music festival that now accepts socks as currency. Which raises two questions. One, how? And two, why does it feel like a metaphor for the entire news cycle?
Probably because it is. Also, I just learned the energy drink I had is caffeine and sugar-free, so if I sound calm, it's not by choice.
Now, if you're just joining us, don't worry. We'll catch you up on everything you missed, everything you wished you hadn't seen, and a few things that we may have hallucinated.
This is the Talking Gruse. It's like the news, if the news had a fever dream and woke up in a thrift store.
The Talking Gruse, bringing you the less serious side of the news. Brought to you from the Rocket Courier Studios in Tempe, Arizona. Now, your host, the Gruse.
Talking Gruse. So we fixed a few technical issues. We, of course, first run in the new studio, so we're gonna have them. We're no longer sitting in a hole.
No trench warfare back here.
Yes, exactly. We're not suffering from trench foot or anything.
Right.
So, co-host, how you doing?
Not too bad. Crazy week with the 4th of July, but.
You guys sound like a war zone outside the other day, didn't it?
Last night, yeah, it sure did.
Yes, well, thank God that it sounded like one.
And wasn't one. God bless America.
Yes, exactly. So coming up first in this episode, the world is on fire, the headlines are confusing, and someone gave a former reality TV star a Nobel Prize nomination. So everybody out there, grab your tinfoil hat and emotional support snack. It's time for the news that makes you say, what? That actually happened?
This is the segment where we try to explain geopolitics using metaphors involving raccoons, vending machines, and mild panic. Welcome to the Gruse Flash.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Gruse Flash. So this week, last couple of weeks in news, Donald Trump, he has been nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize by Pakistan for mediating the India-Pakistani conference.
That's kind of like giving a toddler a chemistry set and then congratulating him for not drinking it.
Back in the 50s, they had an actual chemistry set that had radioactive material in it.
I remember hearing about that. I remember the chemistry set I had when I was a kid. It probably could have made some kind of explosive.
Yeah, you probably could have.
And we are Trump fans, but
he makes for great humor. Sometimes.
Oh yeah, he's still fun to make fun of. And he would laugh with us.
Alcatraz alligators.
Yeah,
that's the
one. I've seen the alligator Alcatraz. I've seen where they have memes where they've got alligators walking up and saying, "I'm here to apply for the job."
Nice. Nice. Well, meanwhile, since we last saw you, the U.S. bombed 3 Iranian nuclear sites, and Iran responded with a strongly worded Yelp review titled, "Too loud, would not enrich again."
The EU is considering suspending Israel's human rights privileges, which is the diplomatic version of changing the Wi-Fi password and not telling them.
Yeah, it's like censoring it's like when you censure a politician.
Yeah.
Yeah, ooh, I've been censored.
Come here.
Yeah. I've been censored. You can't touch me. I'm censored or whatever.
Go stand in the corner and think about what you did.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Now, in lighter news, Summerfest, the big music show that happens this summer, is offering free tickets in exchange for socks, blood, or a high school diploma.
So basically, the same requirements as joining a startup cult or jury duty in Florida.
Wow, I didn't know I could get. Hey, I'm on jury duty. Florida is always a good
What do they want a high school diploma for? Did they not get theirs?
Probably not.
Okay.
Or the socks. Well, and finally, everybody, Yoga Day was celebrated worldwide the last couple weeks ago. Prime Minister Modi of India called it the pause button humanity needs.
So Americans paused their yoga apps to check TikTok, then pulled a hamstring trying to recreate a pose called the algorithm spiral.
He can't pronounce algorithm, and
Algorithm.
he has his new teeth, folks. Everybody, look back earlier in the second season. You'll get to see what exactly we were talking about.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, coming up next, a Florida woman sues her HOA for banning inflatable flamingos that radiate ancestral energy.
Honestly, I'd vote for the flamingo. It's the only candidate with a spine and a built-in straw.
Nice. But hey, everybody, let's first go back to where it all started. It's time for the less serious side of the news.
The Talking Gruse, bringing you the less serious side of the news.
Hey everybody, welcome to the less serious side of the news. In this segment, we'll be returning to our roots of stupidity and banter. So with that, let's get right in. Now, in a world where evolution has clearly given up, hundreds of inflatable T-Rexes gathered in Washington State. Only in Washington would they do that.
I got to call Richie and say, did you go to this thing?
Yeah. To reclaim their rightful place as the apex predators of cardio. Now, the annual T-Rex World Championship at Emerald Downs, we've been there.
I was going to say, Emerald Downs. Yeah.
Well, we've been there. They featured over 300 lizards in a full sprint, proving that dignity is optional, but commitment to the bit is eternal. Also parachuting in were skydiving dinosaurs, because when you're already dressed up like a latex lizard, you might as well fall from the sky.
Sure, why not?
Take it away, co-host.
So, more than 300 people donned inflatable dinosaur costumes and took the track at Emerald Downs in Washington for the annual T-Rex World Championship races. The yearly event at the Auburn racetrack began when the Triguard Pest Control held it as a team-building exercise in 2017, and the race quickly gained popularity online and opened up to the public next year. The race was suspended in 2020 and 2021 because of the pandemic, but made a return in 2022.
They should have just retired it completely.
I don't know, looks like it might be fun. Houston man Andrew Stuber was crowned the top Tyrannosaurus in this year's race. This year's T-Rex World Championship races also featured an aerial event. 3 people in T-Rex costumes jumped out of a skydive Snohomish plane, and Snohomish is a county.
Yeah.
And parachuted down to the field before racing to the finish line.
It's like Yakima is a city. Puyallup.
The full event is set to be aired on ESPN2 sometime later in the summer. Sure, it's not ESPN8. The Ocho.
Yeah, where was it? Was it Florida where they did the T-Rex gathering? Remember they had the most T-Rex in one area? People dressed up as T-Rex as a world record?
I remember it vaguely. I don't remember where it was.
I don't remember where it was, but they needed to do this with them.
I don't know. If it doesn't involve cross-pollination, I don't know. So,
anyways, so disaster also struck in Pennsylvania this week. A truck carrying shredded mozzarella violently exploded onto a pizza topping crime scene. There were hundreds of boxes, 200 yards of dairy devastation on one highway. There were 0 survivors unless you count the raccoons now living their best Alfredo life. Now, cleanup crews call it unsalvageable. We just call it the most tragic charcuterie board in history. Just don't be cheesy reading this, please.
okay. Straight up.
Let's see if you can listen to directions, folks.
Firefighters were called to a stretch of interstate in Pennsylvania after a crash involving 3 tractor trailers resulted in mozzarella cheese being spilled across a 200-yard area. Is that kind of like a Godzilla pizza on steroids? Mm-hmm. Yeah. The Snowshoe Fire Company said on social media that the Pennsylvania State...
Oh, and the pictures behind us are thanks to the Snowshoe Fire Company.
Snowshoe. Pennsylvania State Police notified Clearfield County that a crash had occurred at mile marker 145 on eastbound Interstate 80, leaving a debris field covering an area of about 200 yards. Firefighters arrived on scene and had determined that one of the trucks had been hauling boxes of shredded mozzarella cheese and was split wide open with debris all over the roadway. So they brought their hoses with sauce.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
And spread
think
it on
so.
a little crust.
Yeah.
Fire
Well,
officials.
the crust was the asphalt.
Fire officials said they determined no hazmat response was needed, but all cheese will be headed to the landfill as the load was deemed unsalvageable due to being unrefrigerated for hours. So
That's a sin.
that's
That's
almost like alcohol abuse. It's cheese abuse, man.
Yeah, because once again, if I ever was diagnosed as lactose intolerant, shoot me. Because I can't eat cheese and I won't be able to eat ice cream.
It's not easy being cheesy.
It isn't. It isn't. Hey, it's nacho cheese. Now in Fraserburgh, Scotland, a small medical clinic has issued a desperate plea. Please stop mailing us your pee. Now the Sultan's surgery has been flooded with jars and bottles of repurposed bottles with jam containers filled with urine. No notes, no appointments, just vibes. Now, doctors are asking patients to consult them before launching a rogue biohazard campaign. Because while your kidneys may still be functioning, your judgment clearly isn't. Now, my question is, what happened to using Gatorade bottles?
It's only for the back seat on Interstate 10 between Tucson and Phoenix.
Go on.
The Sultan surgery in Fraserburgh, Aberdeenshire, said on
I
social
love
media.
these English city names.
I know, right? The doctors and medical staff at the clinic have been inundated with a high volume of unsolicited urine samples, often in non-medical household containers instead of sterile sample containers. Please be advised that we are no longer able to accept urine samples unless they've been specifically requested by the practice. The change is necessary due to the high volume of inappropriate or unsolicited samples being submitted, which affects our ability to provide
An
timely
unsolicited
care
pee
to
pic,
all.
would that be?
I guess so. I've heard of sexting, but what would this be?
Water sports.
Ew.
If you're not hydrated, it's not golden. Or if you're hydrated, it's not a golden shower.
A British Medical Association Scotland representative.
Look at that, folks. I stumped him. My superior
No,
intelligence.
I was just swallowing, trying not to puke my guts up. They needed to perform an examination before they can interpret urine test results. Each unsolicited sample handed in requires time and medical supplies to test and practice. So why did they do this in the first place? What was?
I don't know. It didn't say. Maybe we should reach out to Law Lucan and find out how close that is to him,
I know.
and see if he has any reason on it. Yes, folks, I've switched from drinking coffee on the show to drinking a can of ice cold Diet Pepsi. When you're in Arizona and it's 300 degrees outside, coffee just doesn't cut it.
I'll stick with my no sugar caffeine drinks.
No sugar, no caffeine. Here we go. Yeah, I don't know why they did it.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what spawned the whole thing to begin with.
Well, I mean,
People just started sending in their jars of pee and saying, "Here you go, test them."
now this past week, only in China would this happen. Beijing hosted the first ever Robo League soccer match. It was a glorious display of artificial intelligence, athletic ambition, and deeply regrettable clumsiness. There were 6 humanoid robots. It was a 3-on-3 competition. No humans were allowed, just pure unfiltered chaos. As the machines attempted to play the beautiful game, and they mostly just fell over.
So it was kind of like those
It looked like-
70s, 80s, the football game where you
Yeah.
and they,
Yeah, where they vibrate on the metal. Now, the THU, it's a school over there. We'll bring it up in the article. The THU Robotics won the team 5-3, or won the game 5-3. But the real victory was watching the robots trying to celebrate and immediately face planting onto the turf. Now, maybe they were trying to transform into lawnmowers?
Cue the transporter sound, or the transformers.
Yeah,
Yeah, that.
Go on now.
So, the first Robo League robot soccer tournament took place in China, pitting AI-powered teams of robot players against one another in 3-versus-3 matches.
Now, everybody, I have this going on the screen behind us right now, and so you can watch the silliness as we're talking about it.
The tournament, held Saturday in Beijing, drew a crowd of thousands of curious spectators to watch the robots attempt to score goals using strategies determined by AI. This is the first fully autonomous AI robot football match in China. Du Jing, executive director of the tournament organizing committee and deputy general manager of, I'm not even going to try that, Shengyicheng Technology.
Hey, how come they don't have telephones in China?
Am I wing the wrong number?
Yeah.
Told in the culture group told the Global Times it represents a combination of technological innovation and industrial application, as well as important window for bringing robots into public life and real world scenarios. The tournament ended with the THU robotics team from Tsinghua University defeating the Mountain Sea team from China Agricultural University 5-3. The event was held in the lead up to the 2025 World Humanoid Robot Sports Games, which will be held in Beijing in August.
Now,
So, Robot Olympics.
Yeah, well, I was watching the video on it, and and as our viewers will see, the soccer ball they were playing with was like this. It was huge.
All I can think of is Bender laughing and say, "Oh, you're serious? Let me laugh even harder."
Oh my God. Well, we've covered the facts, and now let's talk about the feelings. Because in America, the emotional climate is just as unstable as the real one.
It's time to check in on the national mood, which is currently somewhere between mildly unhinged and openly weeping into a frappuccino. This is your emotional weather report.
All right, everybody, here's your emotional weather report. Let's go ahead and break it down. Now, over in the Northeast, there's a high-pressure system of existential dread. Expect scattered protests and isolated bursts of, wait, can he do that?
In the Southwest, there's a heat dome of unrelenting optimism and dehydration. Locals are advised to hydrate and stop saying it's a dry heat like it's a TED Talk.
Yeah, I know, I get so tired of hearing people say, it's a dry heat.
Yeah, and
No,
people
come
who
out
walk
here-
outside and say, "Man, it's hot." Yeah, it's Arizona.
Yeah, yep, whatever. It's what it is. Now over here in the Southeast, there's emotional flooding due to BTS finishing their military service. And K-pop fans are advised to evacuate the nearest merch booth.
In the Midwest, general confusion and scattered disassociation. Residents are advised to stay indoors and avoid eye contact with the news. I think that's good advice for everybody.
I would
This
agree.
is CNN.
Well, no, it's not. You don't hear James Earl Jones saying it anymore,
Well, I know, but
unfortunately.
yeah.
Now, over up here in the Pacific Northwest, it's still smug. It's still raining. They're still pretending they invented both.
So basically, the country's in a mood ring, stuck on meltdown.
Yeah, and the only umbrella that works is denial. And now sports, because nothing says escape from reality like watching millionaires chase balls while wearing logos for crypto scams.
This is the part of the show where we pretend to understand contracts, trades, and why the mascot is on fire. Welcome to Fourth and Fabricated, sports news that's technically true, but emotionally offsides.
Fabricated. Let's hit the scoreboards. Now, in soccer, Liverpool signed Florian Wirtz for $156 million. That's more than the GDP of several small island nations and at least one moon of Jupiter.
And we're sure that's dollars and not euros.
Yeah, that's what they said, dollars.
In basketball, the San Antonio Spurs now have a crypto security firm on their jerseys because nothing says teamwork like decentralized volatility.
Yeah, and it looks like a name badge. The name of the company, it's like...
When did the NBA turn into the WNBA?
When did the NBA turn into MLB where they're advertising?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, well, speaking of MLB, the All-Star games are headed to Atlanta. The highlights include a celebrity softball tournament and the annual Guess Who's Still in the League challenge. I think that's, we now, All-Star break. Are the Cubs going to flop or flourish?
I don't know. They're looking pretty good. They hit 8 home runs. It was a franchise record yesterday.
4 home runs would be a franchise record.
No, it used to be 7.
Oh.
It was 7, and they actually hit 8. They've got a rookie. I don't know if he's a rookie. His name's Pete Crow Armstrong.
Yeah, PCA, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we talked about him in the last episode.
Yeah, he is. He's kind of exciting to watch. He's almost like a Sammy Sosa, Javier Baez type player.
Sammy Sosa not doping it up?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, in football, the Bucks and Seahawks unveil white throwback uniforms because nostalgia is cheaper than talent.
Yeah, the Bucks and Seahawks have just tanked it this last couple years. I don't even watch football, and I know that.
I believe the Bucks and the Seahawks both came into the league in like 1977 at the same time.
Oh.
So I think that maybe that's why maybe they're coming up on their 40, 50 year.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Anniversary. Well, everybody, that's all for Fourth and Fabricated. Remember, in sports, as in life, it's not whether you win or lose.
It's whether your jersey has a QR code that links to your crypto wallet and your therapist.
All right, everybody. Well, co-host, I think I hear the heavenly angels singing.
It's about time.
Yeah, it is about time. Everybody, I hope this is this episode was a lot better than the last one, and we're getting to that point where we're getting better, I would say.
Yeah, we're getting more accustomed to the studio, and we're changing things up to see what happens, and
yeah, we'll go from there.
Yeah, we're gonna bring you some funny stuff, and we're gonna try some things and see what happens.
Absolutely. So that's it for this episode of the Talking Gruse. If the world still exists in 2 weeks, we will be back.
And if it doesn't, we'll be broadcasting from the void. Same time, same questionable ethics.
So remember, if you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, click the bell button, get notified of our shorts.
Or what's in our shorts, if we have shorts on. Can't tell anymore with this desk.
I know, it's sort of nice.
We're on Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, and wherever else you waste your time.
So until then, stay weird, stay skeptical, stay less serious, and never trust a metaphor that smells like gasoline.